We finally have all of the details that we've been waiting for on the Apple Watch. We know how much it costs, we know when it's going to be available, we know all of the functionality that it's going to provide out of the box. And we've also had a sneak peek of some of the really interesting new features and apps that are going to be available for it. There are three varieties of Apple Watch: the Sport, the Collection and the Edition. And the prices range from £300 for the cheapest Sport in 38mm case to £13,500 for the solid gold edition, which is pretty crazy money. The sweet spot is got to be the Collection range, which is made of stainless steel and sapphire crystal glass. But the fact is, whichever one you opt for, if you buy one of these devices, you're getting something that is as well made as a high quality watch. This isn't just another piece of consumer electronics. Apple's approached it much more as a piece of jewellery. The screen is either covered with sapphire crystal glass or with Ion X glass on the Sport edition, which is a slightly softer, slightly lower rent option. And it's a beautiful thing. It's very, very bright and vibrant. You can't see pixels unless you get really close. Apple describes it as a Retina display. The interface is a real mix. You have a selection of watch faces to choose from, and you can customize them individually. Apparently there are 2 million different combinations of potential watch face. If you dive down into the main menu, which is a selection of bubbles, you can pull it around as you would an iPhone's interface. One of the most interesting things about the interface, the way you interact with it, is the digital crown. This is in the position of a normal crown on any watch, but acts as both a button and also a mechanism for zooming in and scrolling through lists. In terms of its design, it's classic Apple. It's nicely thought through. It feels like it turns very, very easily, but at the same time it doesn't spin, so it can be quite precise. What you find, even when you're navigating really quite small menus, is that you get to the entry you're looking for very easily. It's surprisingly accurate, really quite impressive. There's another control method too. Rather than just being a touch screen, the Apple Watch has what Apple's calling force touch, so it can recognize how hard you're pressing on it. When you do press harder, it acts a little bit like a right mouse button click, summoning other functions. Now, with all these different control methods at your disposal, navigating the Apple Watch is initially a little bit confusing, but after a few minutes you get it and it becomes pretty straightforward. The Apple Watch does more than any other wearable we've seen so far. It does the standard stuff that you expect from a smartwatch: notifications from your phone, activity tracking. But in addition to that, it has NFC built in, which allows it to make mobile payments. We've already seen that functionality applied to hotel room keys. It could work as your Oyster card, for example. It makes the Apple Watch very powerful in a way that the competitors at the moment aren't. Messaging direct from your wrist is another function that Apple's really concentrated on with the Apple Watch. But perhaps more interesting than just being able to send an emoticon or reply to a message is what Apple's calling digital touch. This lets you send a tiny sketch that you've made on its screen to another Apple Watch user to tap on the screen and have those taps replicated on someone else's screen, or to even, with a press with 2 fingers on the screen, to send your heartbeat direct to someone else. They'll feel your heartbeat on their wrist via what Apple calls haptic feedback, which is a type of force feedback that's that bit more measured and a bit more controlled and modulated than what you'd be used to from a buzzer that's built into your phone. There's been a lot of bellyaching about the battery life of the Apple Watch, and Tim Cook confirmed that actually it will be 18 hours. That means you'll need to charge it every day. You'll have to get into a rhythm of taking off your watch, plugging it in the same way that you do your smartphone currently. It remains to be seen whether this is something that we can adapt to quickly, or whether it becomes a bit of a pain, whether people are like, I don't have to do that with my existing watch, why would I do it with this? And what remains to be seen is whether the functionality that the Apple Watch provides is actually worth that additional effort. But what was clear from the launch is that the functionality that's already available with the watch is only really scratching the surface. Now it's in the hands of developers to create new applications for the watch, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they take the functionality, how they take Apple's lead about making this a really personal device and run with it. You'll be able to pre-order the Apple Watch on April the 10th, and it'll be available to buy from shops on April the 24th. So should you? We'll have all the details on Stuff TV. We'll have a full review just as soon as we can lay our hands on an Apple Watch. For now, make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook and G+, to stay in touch with all of the latest tech news.